I think when people say Afrofuturistic, what they mean, even if they don't know they mean it. And I'm one of these people. Is it's like we just are used to just the black identity being so monolithic. It's like, okay, well, you not the monolith, so you must be Afrofuturistic.
So you must be from the future.
Exactly, but you also still black. So it's like you Afrofuturistic. You know what I'm saying? I think we kind of personify just a place where that's not even a thing. Like I said, we come from Atlanta. Everybody know Atlanta is a bunch of black people, but what they don't really fully appreciate till they get there is there's not. We have the most identities of what black is.
You're locked into Apple Music One. I'm Nadeska, and EarthGang is in the building. I got Olu and Dr. Dot with me for the first time in 5 years.
It's crazy. It doesn't even feel like it's been that long. It's crazy.
It doesn't, right? Because, time is flying, but also, man, people change a lot and go through a lot and have a lot of life experiences in 5 years. And it always feels weird to be like, hey, gang, haven't seen you in a while. Let's catch up on your whole life.
Your whole life.
Yes.
Your whole adult
minutes.
life, though. I feel like people change so much as adults, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You really like, oh, it's a lot happening right now. It's not just a routine, go to school, you know what I'm saying, come back home type thing.
Yeah, but at least I catch glimpses of it in the music. So the new album is called Perfect Fantasy. And in typical EarthGang fashion, there was some EPs leading up to this project.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to say, so the song Flavors of Karma. So I'm listening to this record. Y'all are rapping about living in different dimensions, these different versions of yourself. And it made me feel like I could have this conversation with you two that I've been having with a lot of people in creative spaces. This feeling of we're doing something that we clearly love, like your heart and your soul is in it. But also, as you go through the ups and downs, sometimes you need to find different creative outlets to keep you sane. But then sometimes there's a level of guilt about making a pivot or trying something new to keep you sustained. Because you guys make such incredible music, and you have been making incredible music since I've seen you. But, Dot, I know you've been into comedy. You've been into yoga. Tell me about finding other creative outlets outside of the music to...
It's funny you said that about the guilt, because we was having the same conversation with Danny Brown. We were talking about how when you start doing something like any really creative endeavor, but for us music, it starts off as just like a hobby. And for us, it was like a hobby club, you know what I'm saying? It's like us and the boys, somebody who got the laptop, who got the computer today, we gonna record, and it just, a hobby that's just that's there for that exact purpose becomes a job. And then you gotta like, okay, well, cool, I still need that hobby feeling so that I can put that into my music and stuff. So you gotta keep finding other outlets and other ways to really learn and lose in a safe way. That's really what it is, you know what I'm saying? You gotta be cool, like, with it not being perfect, with it not being like the whatever you think that should be, and in a safe space to do that.
Yeah, and then it's like, you also like gotta like shatter whatever images that other people have built of you, or like trophies or whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's like you go through a process of like disappointing other people. People think you're this one way, and they're like, yo, this is what you're good at. You should keep doing this. Like, why would you
This is
ever
what you
pivot?
are.
Yeah.
This is what you exist
This is what
for.
you're good at, so this is what you are.
This is what you exist to be.
And this is why you're important to me. So you must keep doing this. And it's like, well, actually, like, nah, and it just comes a time where you kind of like that separation comes, whether it's with coworkers, families, relatives, you know what I'm saying? Like people you love, or people is like, either you gonna grow with me or we gonna grow apart, you know?
Has that been easy for you two to navigate? I'm glad. Thank you for articulating it so well, because I feel like this conversation is everywhere around me at this point. I feel like all the creatives in my life are at this moment now trying to figure out what is the move. You're right. It's like your hobby turns into your job, and then should I have another hobby that keeps me sane outside of my job? And it's a little bit hard to maneuver sometimes.
Am I making? Then you start getting some notoriety from that new hobby, and now it's like that's who you are now.
Yeah, so now he's this person. It's like, no, bro. At the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? I think the whole person should be the factor that we, that we take in.
Yeah, the main thing is always you. Like that's the most important thing. Like you are a creative being, so like stop trying to box people in. Allow people to have their phases and their moments. Like, I mean, even people who stay in one profession, like the only reason that they're able to stay in that one profession is that because they find different creative ways to bring value to the company, and they go up, like the new CEO of Nike, like I'm sure he wasn't doing the same thing that he was doing 36 years ago now. You know what I'm saying? Like he's grown as a creative person, which has allowed him to progress. So like, let people grow. Like that's
Let
really let
people
people grow. Like
grow.
what is we
You're right.
doing,
Let
bro?
ourselves grow,
Let people
man.
grow.
I'm not gonna lie, I got stuck on the first 3 songs on the album.
Okay.
Great.
You know,
Great.
That's really good.
That's great.
You know, I'd
That's
heard-
great
That feels good.
news.
That feels good to
Great
hear.
news.
I had trouble keeping moving, but never see yourself through someone else's lens. You can't write a chapter of your life with someone else's pen. I was like, all right, man, I guess I'm gonna run this one back a few more times before I could carry on. And also talking about labels, signing another act, it's rinse and repeat. And so the last time I saw you two, Maryland was coming out. At that point, you were talking about just working with a major label for the first time and what that experience was like. And now it's the opposite of experience. You're releasing this album independently, right?
Yeah.
So clearly you guys have been through a lot. So tell me about that change and how that's affected you as artists.
I think the major label experience was a necessary part for the biopic. You know what I'm saying? Necessary part of the experience as an artist and understanding really what it takes to make some of these magnanimous projects come to life and come true. Like you get to really see how many people are involved and how much good and bad and ugly, right? Because it's like how many people are involved to help push it forward, how many people are involved that don't necessarily hold it back, but definitely provide red tape, and that could be for samples, that could be for production, that could be for splits, it could be for anything, right? It's not necessarily like necessarily people working against you, but there are obstacles within the major system, and you see, and it's funny dropping this project, seeing how many of those obstacles are still here, in the independent part, and how many things are not. It's just a great difference. I would say that my favorite thing about the time period that we are blessed to be a part of is there is a lot of strength in independence now, even more so than what they sold us. Because when we was in school in like the 2010s, that's when we was in college, kind of believing all these indie dreams, and a lot of those dreams were kind of like not really indie. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of artists that was coming out, and they made us think it was as simple as, yeah, you just get out there and follow your heart and do your music good and do a lot of music and it's gonna work. But for real, it's it's more solid, hard nosed entrepreneurship than people would give it credit for.
It kind of speaks to like how we started. We started really grassroots. We started with just us, our collective, our community, and providing that value directly to the fan base. And with the major labels, like you said, there are a lot of pluses, which have what I'm saying, gotten us the chance to do all the things we did. But I think with our partnership with Dreamville, and with how we move, like we're keeping that core essence of like having that community and like bringing value to our fan base first and foremost, rather than trying to like put our stuff in all the Targets or put our stuff in all the Walmarts before people even really know who we are and why we do what we do.
And this is something I've always respected about the two of you. The value in your music, whenever I listen, it's never a passing listen or a light listen. I need to actually think about what I'm hearing. And I've always loved your focus on community and just being true to yourselves when you create. A lot has changed. This idea of rinse and repeat, I think it applies across the board in a lot of places. And I'm wondering how you, in this landscape where it's so easy to just spend 5 minutes making something and throw it on the internet and it could catch a moment, how you guys still really think about the way you approach your music when you sit down in the studio.
I mean, I gotta feel it. Now, are some songs made faster than others? For sure. And are some songs easier to, I guess, for some asshole to market? For sure. But at the end of the day, it comes from sincerity. And I think that's, as long as it got a core of sincerity, you know what I'm saying? The rest of that stuff is kind of just details, you know what I'm saying, that people can argue about over the internet. But if I feel good about the sincerity in the music that I'm making, I think that's the main thing. When I sit down in the studio, I'm not going there and to be like, okay, well, shoot. Hey, they rocking with Cash Cobain right now. And I love Cash Cobain, you know what I'm saying? They rocking with whoever they rocking with right now. Shit, let me do my version of that. Like, I ain't never been like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just not how it worked for me. It's like if somebody, you know what I'm saying, make a good recipe or make some good food, I'm gonna still cook it the way my mama taught me how to cook it.
So we don't lose these recipes. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I think also, I mean, kind of what you said, sincerity. People just want honesty. I think that's what a lot of creatives are kind of like discovering more and more now. It's like, how can I be more honest about my new space and where I am in life, you know, and over the past years, like you said, you know, we've been kind of conditioned to putting ourselves out there like constantly. So it's like, how can I constantly show these people while I grow who I am and still be able to present it in a way that is makes sense to me and makes sense to them. Like nobody's inside of the cocoon when the caterpillar is turned into a butterfly. You know, we see it from the outside, but like the way social media is, the way media is, it's like we want to know every single thing. So like people are trained to be like, man, how can I show them this process when I ain't never did it before? So it's like, all right, let me just be as honest as I can in this phase where I am at, you know. And I think that's gonna connect, you know, so resonate with people.
Just if you went just based off the title of that EP, R.I.P. Human Art, sounds pretty dark. But obviously, you guys, you still believe in the art and you still
Yeah.
believe in being
Yeah.
creative. And I've always loved that you do this really on your own terms. I'm wondering, you've always explored these themes like science fiction and technology in your music. And now more than ever, there's a big conversation about how things like artificial intelligence are going to affect artists, and especially in hip hop specifically. Why did you guys feel like it was important to address these things in the music, and what are the conversations you have about it, I guess, before even recording the songs?
I mean, I feel like as an artist, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to, you know what I'm saying? Like tell the story of the times that we in,
But
right?
not many artists do that.
Psh,
A lot of them do.
yeah,
Yeah, and
that's
I'm gonna say
true.
not
That's
all artists
true.
got to, but
That's
I would
true.
say it. Even if you're not telling about the times
Yeah, it don't have
specifically
to be like a
directly the
newspaper
times,
article. You know
yeah,
what I'm
like
saying?
even
Like, you know what I'm
even
saying?
if it's
Like,
not directly the
just
times,
tell
it's
your
still your
story.
experience.
Tell your
Yeah, tell your
story.
experience, and if your experience is valid within these times, then it'll reach out to people who it's reaching to.
Yeah, like tell your story. And I think for us, our story in that space was like, you know, like you said, it was a process of growth. But as we're growing, now we have all of these people like that was a moment for like a few months where like you could not have a conversation without somebody saying AI is going to threaten your job. Like, you know what I'm saying? Taking your job. So it's just like, I mean, we'll address it. You know what I'm saying? Like we'll address it because it does impact us in a certain way, shape, or form. But like what I want to talk about more than the doom and gloom is like just me and how I'm feeling and where I sit in the ecosystem of this thing coming, because it's not going to eliminate me. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not going to do that because it can't be me. It's not. It doesn't have the God particles that we have as human beings, so it can't eliminate us. But you know, it affects us. So let's talk about it because it's affecting everybody.
Yeah. I mean, I like that train of thought. It's definitely not going to eliminate us, but where do you feel like you sit in that space now, and we will sit in the next 5 to 10 years, for example?
I mean, I would love for AI to just be our minions, you know, like
I think
clean
that
up the planet. You know
yeah,
what
I'm
I'm
about to
saying?
say yeah,
Like,
that's what we should use it on. Let's get some nanobots in the
like,
ocean.
what we doing?
Let's
Like,
get
what are we doing?
I hate when this happens to me, but I really did get stuck on the first few songs on the album. So I got to Deep Blue, and that was another
Yeah.
one I kept replaying, because so we start out with the thesis
Yeah.
statement on Godly, and then we get to Deep Blue, and this is another one where I feel like I just fell head over heels backwards into your world. It's like the way the track is produced, the vocals from Yukimi Nagano, I hope I'm saying her name correctly. She's from Little Dragon. It's just so hypnotic. And then y'all are talking about things like stressing about your day and comparing that to being like a crumb on God's plate. I think when you're having one of those days where all that anxiety and stress is bottled up and you hit play on this song, it does recalibrate a little bit. It's a
Nice.
beautiful song. Tell me about recording this
Thank you.
This is my favorite song on the album.
Yeah.
Until further notice, this is
Yeah,
my
yeah,
favorite one. I love this song. I love that it's, you know what I'm saying, like a full like song. We haven't done a song even of this much time, you know, in a
In a
long time.
long time.
In our first few projects, we would have like a 5-6 minute song on there, sometimes even longer. This is a 6 minute song. And I don't regret 1 second of it, you know what I'm saying? It's a beautiful piece of work. It's like a really big mural on the wall, you know what I'm saying, of the ocean. But it's definitely it definitely hits home. I love that song. I love the whole ocean vibe. I love it sounds like the future and the 80s at the same time.
Mhm.
It's like I don't think people gonna know really how to categorize it, and I think it's gonna end up getting put like in some hip hop conversations, and it's like, well, okay, I know the racial line, so I know how y'all do things, but like this is like I don't know the category of that type of song. We can say alternative.
And
Yes.
we're huge Little Dragon fans. Like they're part of the canon that we use when we first started making music. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, we love these guys. So if we make music that's anywhere near this, then we know we're doing some good things. And for them to like just be so open and loving and like just like,
Willing to
yeah,
work.
like me and my boy Nacho, we produced the record, Not Your Average, we produced the record, and then we sent it to them. We sent the stems to them, and like they just put their magic all on it and just, you know, just embellished it. And it's just like, yeah, man, I'm so proud of this. And Yukimi, she's amazing, you know, like
You have to be proud of it. And I think, oh man, this idea of categorizing your music, I don't even really try. It's like only y'all could have Little Dragon on an album, and then a couple songs later there's T-Pain. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
And Damon Albarn
Damon
is
Albarn.
the
Yes.
front man of the Gorillas. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't know that. But that's
starting off the album
Yeah.
too
Mhm.
with him on it. Like, you know what's really funny? So whenever like the idea, I was talking to A$AP Rocky recently, he was talking about afrofuturism, and it's like a concept that if somebody just asked me in casual conversation, I cannot give you a coherent definition, although my mind knows, but like
you see the pictures.
y'all are the ones. Like you should be under the dictionary Afrofuturism,
that should be the genre, low key.
Yeah.
That is the
When
genre.
they try to
Yeah.
put us in a genre, Afrofuturist music.
Yeah.
We actually pioneered and did it first. You heard it
Start
here
the playlist.
on Apple. Yeah, we
Start
we
the playlist
pioneers.
right now.
We the
Start
pie
it.
and the ears.
Started.
That's gonna add that to my hobby list. I should make that playlist for y'all. Because I mean, how would you define Afrofuturism? There are just so many elements of it in your music, man, in your soul. I feel like you just are that, and you've been that.
I think we always just trying to discover, like just push things forward and keep that creative juice flowing. It's kind of I don't know, like we don't even think about it, you know, like
Yeah,
you said, like
I don't really
you
think about
you
it.
can go outside and then see somebody be like, you kind of Afrofuturistic right now. Like we saw a dude just like the way he was dressed on the way over, he was like, hey, buddy, wildin', but he looked kind of cool because he's not like immersed in this whole New York vibe. He's doing his own thing. So it's like, yeah, you real futuristic.
I think when people say Afrofuturistic, what they mean, even if they don't know they mean it, and I'm one of these people, is it's like we just are used to just the black identity being so monolithic. It's like, okay, well, you not the monolith, so you must be Afrofuturist.
So you must be from the future.
Exactly, but you also still black. So it's like you Afrofuturistic. But you know what I'm saying? I think we kind of personify just a place where that's not even a thing. Like I said, we come from Atlanta. Everybody know Atlanta is a bunch of black people, but what they don't really fully appreciate till they get there is there's not. We have the most identities of what black is. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'll go to somewhere like you know what I'm saying? And I love all these places. I'll go to like a Milwaukee or an Ohio or, you know what I'm saying? Or somewhere in Europe where you hanging with black people and like they all are like, well, no, we the black people. So like this is how we do stuff here. And like that's cool and that works. And I'm sure it's, you know what I'm saying, it's helped them build and survive. But in Atlanta, we just don't have that. So it's like each person is redefining the whole identity at all times for themselves and whoever around.
Each person in their own genre.
Yeah, each person their own genre for real in Atlanta.
For real.
And they try to group it together, even like, but if you really, it's very distinct.
You see what I mean? Y'all always break it down well.
Yeah.
I feel like I would have been friends with y'all in high school because you're right. It's like I look around, I even feel that way in media. Like there is like the archetype of what you're supposed to look like, how you're supposed to be. And a lot of times some of us feel like we don't belong here because you don't see a lot of these other identities. But like those are the ones I remember growing up. I hung out with all the weird kids, you know what I mean, who are into all the alternative music and punk. And it doesn't feel like we have much representation in the mainstream, and that's why I'm really grateful.
Which is
for y'all.
crazy because like our parents' generation could say the same thing, and I'm sure probably even before them, like, but we know what these kind of different like personalities bring, and we know how enriching it is to the art and to the community of art. Yeah, and still when it gets to a certain level, it's like, well, no, let's try to trim those things around.
Or even like certain like in certain medias, like it's these classic films and these classic stories are just like, yeah, this is why we've been talking about this for the last 30 years because it's
it was
so different.
Yeah, it was its own thing.
So like, why don't we continue to like,
So why are we
promote
doing
the
another
different
reboot?
stuff? Yeah, like why are we that? Why are we telling the same story?
Why are we
over?
9% reboots?
Yeah.
I guess that's on us, right? To start telling those other stories.
Yeah,
Yes.
and we gotta. I'm gonna be honest, and I'm as guilty as I am. I still know the solution. We gotta stop paying for the things that are like the opposite of that. You know what I'm saying? The things that are recycled ideas and the things that are like not pushing us forward. We gotta start going for it. Just as consumers and as a community, we gotta be like, hey, look, y'all did that enough times. We don't want to see it no more, but we still be going for it, and that's why they
Still.
have all the incentive to keep doing it.
That's why like a Shogun could get, all these Emmys and stuff, like, because it's just like, yo, like this is a different story, and they really put their foot into it. Like we're not trying to redo another cop show. You know what I'm saying? Like nah, we really like showing something new, and not another hospital show. So it's like that's what it's about.
So we're coming off Little Dragons on that record. I think they co-produced the next song, and then we get to a Neptune's production on this project.
Hey.
Man, y'all really did a little bit of everything, but that's like so perfectly just y'all.
Yeah, we did basically like, this is like if I was in middle school or like maybe high school, like, and I got to work with everybody I was a fan of. It's kind of like that project. It's like the
everybody whose music I was downloading.
Yeah, well, I say everybody whose music I stole.
Legally
downloaded. Everybody whose music I stole.
They just showed up.
Every magazine cut out, I put it on my wall in my locker or something like that. We got them all on one project.
Where were you guys actually recording this? Were you home in Atlanta, or were you on the road?
The Neptune song?
We went to Miami to do that.
Yeah, we did that in Pharrell spot.
We recorded Golly on the road. We recorded
on tour with Gorillas.
With the Gorillas,
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of these we did like in proximity.
We recorded Deep Blue in Atlanta, but the Little Dragon came to Atlanta and stuff. We took him to the strip club. And
Really?
Stuff. Yeah. There's good people.
Speaking of bringing people into your world.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of these.
We took the Gorillas to the strip club.
We
too.
did do that. We took them to Magic City.
Wait, can you tell me about both experiences? I still haven't had an Atlanta strip club experience.
Why not?
I don't know, man.
It's not even hard to do.
I just feel like I'm not there enough, and I don't know why. I want to blame people like y'all. Like, it's always everything's in New York and LA. New York and LA, like, why? Anyway, sorry.
A lot of things are in New York and LA as far as some work, but you need to go to Atlanta and just have a good time, bro. You know what I'm saying? You gotta take some time for yourself. Go to Atlanta for a weekend.
Yeah,
and bullshit. Literally just enjoy bullshit.
Give yourself 4 days.
It's nice getting to have those experiences though with those artists.
Mm-hmm.
They're not just in your world on the album, but like really in real life. Like, that's actually really dope.
Yeah, like those are people.
I prefer to connect with people that I make music with. I don't really like. I hate a cold feature, bro. I really do. I hate paying for it. I hate when they don't promote it. You know what I'm saying? That's what happens a lot. You do these features, you done pay somebody some fucking money. And I don't know what I can and can't say, my bad. But and then they throw that shit up, or we throw it up on platforms. You never see the person on the song talk about it. They don't even know they made it sometimes. Why do we do stuff like that? That's all performative. That's all for like the algorithm to pick it up and shove it up there. But no, it's really about like connecting with real artists that we actually like rock with. So I feel like every producer that we work with, everybody that's on this album is somebody that we had like a real moment with outside of the music making.
Yeah, I feel like those real moments actually made the records really dope. I mean, the EP series, you actually called it EarthGang versus the algorithm. Do you feel like it's a fight with the algorithm?
It wasn't a fight, but that was just a good way to frame it. It was almost satirical to even approach it like that, because it's like, well, because like all of a sudden everybody's telling us that's what we got to do. Like you know what I'm saying? We came off the Mirrorland tour, went into the pandemic. And in the pandemic, all of a sudden, like literally, I remember 2020, all of a sudden, everybody's like, "Yo, you gotta make sure you line up with one of these." And I'm like, "Well, okay, that's cool. Like, don't get me wrong, and I get how it works. You know what I'm saying? You gotta manipulate the system from within and all that stuff. I totally get it. But it's like, who said that this is what it is? Period. And I think that's what the question we were trying to pose is like, are we really going against this thing? Is it us like, are we making music for a community or against the equation? And it's like, I don't know.
Yo, who said and who decided are questions I've been asking a lot recently. Like, who are
who
they?
Made up these rules I say?
Yeah, that's Lauren. My favorite Lauren quote. It be in my head every day. Who made these rules I say?
It's so abstract, and yet we all just like subscribe and like fall in line with
we just do it. And I actually, that doesn't make sense. Because it's probably somebody who made the rule that we could all beat up. Like, for real. Like, if you saw them in person, you could probably smack the fire out their face. But it's like they sitting around just making more rules somewhere in some little hovel, and we just gotta deal with it.
Tell me a little bit about the EarthGang Foundation and like just why. Like, it's not, you don't have to make the time to do things like these, but somehow you're figuring it out.
The EarthGang Foundation is something that we started in 2020, 2021. And I mean, just we travel so much. Like, we've been to all 7 continents, and like we just seen so many beautiful experiences and examples of humanity and how we get along with our planet, how we enjoy ourselves and all of this stuff. So it's like, man, we should do something to continue to like push our legacy forward and to preserve the beauty that is this planet and us who occupy this planet, and it's based on sustainability and like actual climate action. So being the conduit between our fan base, our community, and the experts, the people with resources, the people who had the technology, and bridging the gap. And some of our early projects, as we did a community garden in the southwest side of Atlanta. We had an EarthGang portal where people can go all across the world and type in information and stuff what's going on in their neighborhoods or in their regions, their coastal regions, and all this stuff. But I mean, we just love this, and we had an event last night where we had a lot of people who were here for Climate Week pulled up, and they were just like, "Man, this is like the coolest. This is the coolest Climate Week event that we've been to ever." And I think we was talking about it, like, man, we got to kind of make this way more cooler than it is, like. So
Yeah,
many
bro, the
times
world
we
ain't gonna get
go
saved if it's
by,
boring,
yeah,
though. I ain't gonna hold you,
going
bro.
to
I've been
panels
said that
and
if it's boring, we all going to hell in a handbasket, bro. It's over
sitting
with,
here
bro.
talking to people about
Yeah.
numbers
It
and
gotta
all of
be.
this. Like, nah,
It
bro.
gotta be
Like,
exciting and it gotta be electrifying
wanna
and it
have
gotta be
fun.
something that we all can do together and feel good about. And it gotta be like we gotta go to a direction where technology is more compatible with the world around it. It can't be just taking. It has to be like a circle. It has to, you know what I'm saying? As much as it's used, it has to give back. And the technology has to give back to the earth, and the earth has to give back to the technology and loop instead of just like man taking and taking and taking. So I think just, at our heart of hearts, you know what I'm saying, we love some science, we love some stuff. So it's like, I think it's the right thing to do. I think it's, what I'm saying, going foundation first with a lot of these efforts.
Yeah. I don't know where they made y'all at, but I wish we had more. All right, so tell me a little bit about Red Flag.
Red Flag is produced by Not Your Average. It was a song started in my home studio. Shout out to the space station. It's like my attic. I be in there making stuff. And Not Your had came over one day and we started cooking that up, and then like it came from just a bunch of conversations. I think, I don't know, a lot of people had like a crazy ass relationship at some point in their life, but in particular, we all had like a lot of pandemic romances that went askew and
Asunder.
asunder.
Great
Asunder.
vocab words.
And one in particular inspired actually a few songs, but that's one of the songs. So shout out to you, Shawty. It didn't work out, but you did inspire me. So
But you
one of
got
them
me
songs,
paid.
one of them
I
songs
appreciate
was
you.
Red Flag, because it was just like, well, I just was reflecting like, should I have seen some of these things before we got this deep? Should I have seen some of these things in myself? What are the red flags? Is there even a such thing, or you know what I'm saying? Because
Can we wash this out?
yeah,
You know
I'm
what
about
I'm
to say, what
saying?
is anything? You know what I'm saying? So
Can we bleach
I just
these?
had a bunch. You know what I'm saying? Like, what I said? First date, what's your bank account? Red flag. Second date, what's your body count? Red flag. Why are these the questions we even ask? So like, that's the main thing. Like, why do we even like put ourselves in these kind of frameworks if it's not for our safety? You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes it's for safety. Sometimes it's just for like, I don't like that kind of person because
Yeah.
socially,
Yeah.
it's not gonna be my favorite. It's like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, I mean, like even having these conversations or even being like, yo, are these things that are we gonna work on these things though? You know what I'm saying? Like people talk about red flags like as if we're like stuck. You know what I'm saying? As if we're
exactly.
statues. Like I don't understand. I'm like, yo, are we really just stuck like
red
this?
flag. That's what he is.
That's what he is
That's what
forever.
you are.
That's who she
That's
is
what they do.
forever. And I'm like, to a certain extent, it is all on the person to like, you know what I'm saying, like decide whether or not you want to grow or you want to be stuck in life. But like, I don't know, like we have to ask ourselves. I got a line on it. It's like, is fighting with the folks you love better than living alone? It's like, bro, like either you gonna go take your ass into the jungle and be by yourself, or you just gonna get along with the people you love. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta decide. You gotta make a commitment to like work on yourself or just go live alone, and that's really sociopathic, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
what an end to that one. No, I
Right,
think
a sociopath sworn like what?
I think
EarthGang.
y'all so casually broach such big topics. These are not maybe in your circles and my circles because I'm a bit of a weirdo. Like we're having conversations like this all the time, but I feel like when you step outside of that, you realize like so many people don't have these conversations, or you're not really
Yeah.
thinking about that, and you don't realize that getting unstuck starts with you and like
Yeah.
making that. Like some people think that the dimension or the reality that you live in, that's it.
That's
There's
it.
no room to change and like pivot. So I do hope that people listening to this album, old fans, new fans, I hope it just makes them think a lot more the way it made me think as I was listening to the project. You know,
Think and feel.
think and feel. Like I'm grateful that you guys touch all these things. And then so as I mentioned, I love a good thesis statement. So godly, beautiful record, and then you actually close out right with the title track, Perfect Fantasy featuring
Yes.
Snoop. Why was that the one you wanted to close with?
Because it's the title track.
It's a good time.
I say, yeah,
Snoop's
it's like,
verse is bitch.
I
Bitch.
love-
That's
yeah,
the last thing
one
they hear for the album.
Snoop killed that
Bitch.
shit. I love that song. That's a song that was made like at the start of the pandemic. That's like the oldest song on the project, low key. It might be. Cause I started that one again at the space station with Dish. My boy Dish. He also produced Black Light and a bunch of other shit. Dish is just amazing. He did a lot of songs on Chris Brown album. That's my bro. But like when we first started, we became very fast friends in the pandemic. Like he came to my house and we like end up having like 3-4 weeks. Me, him, and like 2 of our other producer friends. We all just stayed in my house because it's a pandemic. So we just playing video games and Mario Party all day and then making songs. But that was like one of the first ones we made was Perfect Fantasy because we were trying to emulate a different time period. And then some kind of way management heard it and they was like, yo, Snoop would sound crazy on this. And Snoop loved it. And you know, he walked on that song. I ain't gonna hold you. He dog walked us. Like, he went crazy. So I was like, well, shit, this is perfect. But I think it works. I think it serves well at the end. I like a album where the end has like a moment. It's almost like watching like the deleted outtakes on the credits. You know what I'm saying? Like you get to see like the people that was part of the process smiling together and like laughing together. It's almost like the curtain call for a play.
Yeah.
It's like that's what that
The
kind of
Rush
like.
Hour 2
Yeah.
bloopers.
Yeah, the Rush Hour 2 bloopers. Like it's like that kind of thing.
Just right out feeling good after exploring some really deep thoughts. I mean, again, only EarthGang starting an album with Damon Albarn from the Gorillaz and closing with Snoop. We're gonna work on getting the afrofuturism
let's do
like
that.
label in Apple Music so we can put all your music under that. I
Yeah,
appreciate
Apple.
you guys for pulling up.